So today I wanted to do something a little bit different, and I do want to start off by saying that just in case you haven't watched the show or anything like that, or even some of this stuff is from the manga, which is still unreleased as far as the show goes, be aware that some of the characters that I may look at in this video are spoilers. So just know I'm going to try not to look over their backstories or anything like that, but I want to go over some of the characters that I think would make really good rares and SR characters in the game, because honestly, there's all kinds of little hints that there should be more sort of rares and SRs already, or not already, but if we go down here to I can't remember exactly which ones these are under. So this is a perfect example. So acquire 9 rare weapons. Obviously, we need new characters and stuff like that to get new weapons and everything like that. There's different kinds of challenges and stuff like that that are already in the game that we can't complete right now because there's not more resources for us to get as far as rare and SR characters. And honestly, the game, every single banner that comes out, it's just SSR heroes. They just pump the game full of SSRs, and I mean, that's great. I'm glad that we have a good pool of SSRs to choose from and everything like that. But even I don't care if the units are even good. I just want more rare and SR units to be in the game, because it's a lot more fun to see newer units and stuff like that pulled on more modern banners and stuff like that, and just the same SR characters and rare characters popping up over and over and over again. It gets kind of old, and there's a ton of characters that are good, not good, but there's a ton of characters that are in the series that would make great lower tier characters because they're not really important, or maybe they're just sort of background characters or whatever the case may be. And obviously a big thing with this is, the big reason why I would assume some of the characters may have not been added is due to the fact that the characters don't get enough screen time or something like that, and maybe they just don't know what kind of move sets or whatever skills to give the characters. But honestly, just come up with something generic. I don't care. Just add more rares and SR characters to the game. So we're gonna go through the wiki right here. Like I said, there's probably gonna be some spoilers coming through and looking through some of these characters, so just be aware of that. Hopefully it doesn't spoil anything super crazy. I don't think it does. Just by looking at the characters, you just may not know who they are. But yeah, I don't think I'm actually going to go into any of their pages. So here we go. I would love for there to be an Oslo unit, just a standalone. Obviously, at this point, we know that there's going to be an Oslo and Hawk double unit that's going to be a first on global. They just announced that yesterday, which is actually really cool. But obviously, I don't think they're going to add a solo Oslo that's anything less than SSR, unfortunately. So, I mean, whatever. I'll give them a pass on that one. Ganon is a pretty easy one. He's really not in the show for that long. Cade is also another one that just kind of shows up and has very little appearance in the actual show. So I think those 2 units would be great to just throw in as rare units or whatever, because I mean, obviously Twiggo really doesn't have a whole lot of screen time or anything like that by any means either. He's in the first episode of the show, and after that, pretty much, you see him maybe once or twice, but he just kind of drops off the face of the planet. So they would be great rare units. I think there is a point where Vivian, if you've played up to the Droll sort of section in the story that we have on Global at the moment, you go into sort of the fight festival that Droll and Gloxinia are hosting, and Vivian actually is disguised as another character. I think his name is Gilfrost or whatever. That would be a perfect SR character because Vivian herself is already an SR, so why not just add her sort of counterpart that she disguises herself as? I think that would be fantastic as just a random sort of nod unit. I don't actually remember this guy at all, but I mean, if you just want to throw him out there as a rare, that'd be fine with me. I have no idea who he is, and I'm not going to click on it to find out, but it is what it is. Dale, which is Gila's dad. I don't really think he has any sort of screen time, but I mean, if you want to do something generic with him, I would be completely okay with that. They actually did a really good job with the sub factions in the game. All of these characters are in the game as rares, or SRs. Phrygia's an SR. Hugo is in the game, Jillian's in the game, Simon's in the game, Slater's in the game, Wineheight's in the game. And then this is kind of where it gets into some of the characters aren't in the game. So Arden and Doggetto are two of the SR characters that have been added to the game since the release. They weren't already in the game, which is a nice thing, but it has been so long already since Doggetto and Arden were put in. And even Deldry, I don't think Deldry needed to be an SSR character, honestly. Like, she's just not important enough. Her and Arden and Doggetto have like sort of this weird sort of like, you know, background sort of thing going on that nobody really cared about. So I don't even think that she really needed to be an SSR character. She could have been an SR in my opinion. I think Denzel needs to be added to the game. I don't think he's on JP. I'm almost positive of that. But I don't see them adding him as less than an SSR, honestly. So, I mean, whatever. Do it up on that. It's whatever. Waylo, I want to say they've added him to JP at this point, but I can't remember if that's actually true or not. But if he hasn't been added to the game, put him as an SR. It'd be fantastic. Him and Doggetto would go like perfect together. They could just be SR characters and it would be fantastic. Just, you know, I think he actually has at least a little bit of like screen time in the show, like where you might be able to gather some sort of move set for him. I don't know for sure, but I mean, that would be fine with me. I don't remember Andre at all, but I mean, you could give him some sort of generic, you know, moveset. Veronica actually would be a really cool character. Unfortunately, because she's a princess of Leonis, I don't think they would give her anything less than SSR, but she's not like a main character or anything like that. So if they wanted to add her as an SR character, I think that would be fine. And plus, I think she does a little bit of fighting here and there in like the first season of the show. So I think that would be, you know, they could try to pull some sort of like attacks or something like that from the show to give her somewhat of a move set. That would be fantastic. I just want more lower rarity characters. Is that, you understand what I'm trying to get across here? The rest of these I don't really see, you know, they're not really like sort of aggressive characters in the show. Like, they're pretty like background sort of like, I don't know, they're not like fighting characters, so I couldn't really see them adding any of these characters other than, I mean, Aleone's already in the game. I don't see them adding Bartra, so it is what it is, unless they just want to add them as sort of like a support unit maybe. But then again, they don't really do a whole lot in the show, so it's kind of hard to, you know, figure out what they would do. I think these would be really cool characters. Liz is kind of interesting, and I think she could be a decent character. I don't see them adding her as anything less than an SSR, but she also doesn't do a whole lot from what I remember of the show. So they could potentially do an SR character with her. Wandel would be really interesting as like just a rare unit, but then again, I would say they would either add him as sort of like an SR, or they just wouldn't add him at all, because obviously he doesn't really do anything. I would like to see Kath in the game, or just like a dual unit of Arthur and Kath, but I don't really know what Kath would do. So I mean, it is what it is. I don't even know who Kay or Donnie are. Donnie. And then in the Demon Clan, I figure Chandler and Cusack are going to get their own characters. They had a lot of screen time in the newest season. I would love to see some of these other like demons and stuff like that, you know, get added as characters like that you fight up against, like in the story maybe, or even just like events where you could go against white demons or orange demons or ochre demons or whatever the case may be, because they start showing up a little bit more in the later seasons of the show. But I feel like the only demons you really see are red and gray, and I mean the crimson demon Howlix isn't even from the show, so I mean, why not add some of these, you know, extra demons and stuff like that that are actually, you know, factually in the series, and, you know, just add some more stuff like that. They don't even have to be like, oh, like, you know, they don't have to be like limit break material sort of characters or whatever. I guess potentially they could add more limit breaking to the game eventually and make it to where you could get to level 85 and 90 or whatever the case may be. But I mean, I don't know, maybe that's what they're doing with those, is, you know, they're waiting. I would love to see Albions in some sort of event. I feel like the only time you see the Albion is when you either lose to him in summoning, or you win against him and get something good. So summoning is the only time you really see him. I mean, there's a couple of story quests where you actually fight one, But I mean, I don't know. I would just like to see more events with those characters, honestly. Obviously, the 10 Commandments are already in the game. Some of these are probably bound to be added later in the game, or yeah, later, like down the road. The movie characters, actually, Belion has a character, and this Elat has a character in the game already on JP. I'm pretty sure we'll end up getting them at some point eventually on global, but some of these other characters, why not just add them as sort of SRs, just to like kind of like litter, you know, a couple of smaller units in. Why not? Like, what's the problem? Nanashi would be a really cool character. I don't know if he has any sort of relevance in the show after the current season that's out of Seven Deadly Sins at the moment, so he may be bigger than what he is that I've seen, but he would be a fine, you know, SR character or whatever, just a regular background character. I don't know, just, you know, he has some cool moves. I know for a fact that he takes out a gray demon or two in the show, so I mean, you know, he has moves or something. You could make a move set for him somehow. The 4 Archangels, if you didn't already know, they are already on I mean, obviously not this one, but these 3 Archangels are already on the JP version of the game. We'll be getting them somewhat soonish, I'm sure, because they just don't know how to slow down on global. Solad, he is another movie character that I think would make a perfect SR character, which honestly, Elat didn't need to be an SSR character. I don't really understand their sort of rarity system when it comes to certain characters, but I mean, it is what it is. I don't know, some of these fairies, I don't really think a lot of these fairies have a lot of like screen time or anything, so it may be kind of hard for them to come up with a moveset for them, but I mean, I don't know. And I mean, a lot of these characters in general, you're not going to even know their name off the top of your head because they really just don't have enough screen time. But I mean, that would be the perfect reason to add them as sort of like rare or, you know, SR characters, because honestly, like after the first episode, you don't really even remember Twiggo after that. Like, I mean, he's kind of memorable because he's the first, like one of the first people you see in the show. But I mean, if he wasn't such a meme in the community, people wouldn't know who Twiggo is, let's be honest. This character right here, Theo, he could be a cool SR character, which then again, they've already added Zaneri and Jenna as SSR characters, which I think is a little odd. But I mean, if they wanted to add him as an SSR, whatever, but I would rather him be an SR, to be honest. Zhivago, he would be a really good SR character, or even a rare. Like, I don't care if they're, you know, even lower, like if they're not really relevant, you know, do it up, put them as the lowest rarity. I don't care. But he would be kind of cool, even like as a transforming unit, because he becomes human. That would be kind of an interesting sort of character, I guess, but I feel like if they waste the time to make a transforming unit, he's not going to be an SR. He would end up being an SSR, and I don't think he's important enough for that. So if they wanted to just add him in his like Beastman form or whatever as a SR, that would be fantastic to me. I don't know who any of these characters are, so I'm not even going to worry about it. And then obviously some of these other characters are sort of just like absolute background characters that don't fight or do anything in the game or in the show. So I don't know, maybe Zalpa. This one is actually a really good example. These are a lot of the contestants and stuff like that fight in Droll and Gloxinia's sort of like big event, their big tournament. Some of these characters aren't in the game, and they would be fantastic low tier characters. I know that they do a little bit of fighting in the tournament, so you could make some sort of move set for them. Just throw them in. Just add them. Just model it out. It's fine. Nobody will complain about these if they add more SR characters. Trust me, no one will complain. Netmarble. I'm sure some of these characters that have gotten a little bit more relevant in the newer seasons may end up getting SSR characters. But honestly, like, I mean, after it gets down towards this, like it's either like enemies or whatever that wouldn't really even be relevant to add as characters. But that is pretty much just going through this and picking out a few, to say the least. I think that they really could benefit from adding more like lower tier characters, even if they're not like super good. I mean, you see people come up with sort of like team comps and stuff like that. They add Twiggo to their teams all the time because he has a really good passive, but his skills in general just really aren't that great. So, I mean, give them a decent, like, sort of like team building passive or whatever the case may be, so that way they can at least be a little bit relevant. But, I mean, they don't have to be good by any means. Just throw them in there and, you know, let people make some sort of like little like gimmicky team comp with them or something. I don't know. Just, I want to see more variety. I feel like every single update and every single banner, it's just SSR after SSR, and I mean, that's fine, I get it. A lot of the characters are important and you want them to be more relevant sort of characters with relevant rarities, but I mean, there's a lot of like irrelevant characters in the show, so just, you know, do it up. Anyway, that's pretty much it. I know I rambled on quite a bit, but I mean, I just thought this would be a kind of like a fun episode or just video in general to make. So thank you so much for watching. Feel free to subscribe for more content in the future. And let me know, is there any character that you would specifically want to see in the game that is not already in the game, or a different variant of the character or whatever, as like a lower tier character or whatever the case may be, or maybe you liked one of the ones that I picked out or said something about. Let me know. I'd love to hear your opinion. So that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching. See you later.